The broken silence. The old house creaked with every gust of wind, its wooden beams groaning like they carried secrets too heavy to bear. Inside, a boy named Oren sat curled up by the window, his forehead pressed against the cold glass. He was only 12, but his eyes seemed far older, worn down, as though he had lived 1,000 years of sadness in a short lifetime. Loneliness had become his closest companion. The silence of the house wrapped around him like a thick blanket, but instead of warmth, it gave him chills. His father had left long ago, a figure that faded into the distance and never looked back. His mother was there, but never really present. She worked long hours and came home too tired to notice the boy sitting in the corner, waiting for someone to ask how his day had been. At school, Oren blended into the background. His classmates laughed and shared secrets, but his voice was barely a whisper. When he spoke, people rarely listened. When he smiled, no one noticed. It was as if the world had drawn an invisible circle around him, and he lived inside it, unseen, unheard, unwanted. Every night, when the shadows stretched long across his room, he would whisper to himself. Sometimes he spoke to the stars, sometimes to the cracked ceiling, sometimes to no one at all. "Do you hear me?" he would ask, his voice breaking in the emptiness. "Does anyone hear me?" But the silence never answered. The loneliness pressed on his chest like a stone. He carried it to bed, carried it to the breakfast table, carried it through the halls of his school. Each day, the weight grew heavier. The other children had families who cheered for them at games, mothers who hugged them after a hard day, fathers who laughed with them. Oren had none of that. He only had shadows. Yet even in the brokenness, there was a flicker inside him, a fragile spark of hope he didn't understand. Sometimes, when he passed the library, he would stop and bury himself in books. In those pages, he found people who were braver, stronger, and louder than he could ever be. They faced dragons, fought wars, and survived storms. Reading their stories, Oren felt less invisible. For a moment, he could imagine being part of something bigger than silence. One afternoon, his teacher noticed him sitting alone, sketching in the corner of the classroom. She sat beside him, quietly at first, and then asked, "What are you drawing?" Oren hesitated. No one had asked him that before. He showed her the page, a picture of a boy sitting by a window, staring at the stars. She smiled gently. "That looks a lot like you," she said. For the first time in a long while, Oren felt seen. Just a little. Just enough. He was still broken. He was still lonely. But that single moment, a kind word, an acknowledgement, was like a crack of light slipping through a locked door. And Oren, fragile as he was, clung to it, believing that maybe, just maybe, the silence wouldn't last forever. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe for more videos.